Welcome to the Jedi Ranger. I'm JohnBerry555, and this is my review of the first 3 episodes of Star Wars Andor Season 2. Episode 1 is 1 year later, because it takes place 1 year later. Kind of obvious when you think about it. Episode 2 is Segona Tima, which is a Chandrilan greeting that's at least associated with weddings, as we see with Marmos's daughter actually getting married. And then episode 3 is Harvest, and well, looks like the Empire is coming to collect. But that's all to say that there's a lot to talk about. These 3 episodes were great. I thought they were fun. There's basically 4 plot lines going on, and 2 of the 4 do come together at the end of episode 3 Harvest, or during episode 3 Harvest, I should say. And of course, there is a little bit of connection too with one of the other plot lines. But let's just talk about it in each of the 3 plot lines as they go. I will be mixing episodes, of course, and spoilers abound. So let's focus on Cassian Andor first. His plot line goes, well, and starts, I should say, at Sign-On Fleet Systems because he's stealing a prototype TIE. He has a contact in the inside who's nervous about that, but he says that's good because it keeps you alert. And yeah, I think that does actually make sense. You're nervous, you're alert, you are aware of what's going on, and you may actually do something about it. It keeps you from getting complacent, if you will. But anyhow, the stealing the TIE, though, it's a prototype. It does not go without a hitch. One, Andor doesn't know how to fly the TIE because it's so different than every other thing. It's a good thing that I think that Andor's stealing it because I don't think the Empire needs another advanced TIE. And apparently he looks like he's chased by some TIE advances, specifically the V1, which is not Darth Vader's TIE, which is a TIE Advance X1. No, this is the Grand Inquisitor, and a few other characters got to pilot it in Star Wars Rebels. Slightly different advanced TIE, but that's just what it looked like to me. But that was great. Andor kept on crashing, but not crashing. He does get away. He goes to his contact point, but his contact is dead because apparently another rebel cell accidentally mooned themselves or crash landed on that planet and killed him because he was not friendly to them. Yeah, I think they're called the Maya Brigade, but that group of these, I think, are the least intelligent. Yeah, they're not the brightest rebels in the bunch, and Andor's probably like, why did I have to deal with these? And yeah, Andor's captured because he's in a time with an Imperial test pilot uniform, so of course he's an Imperial, even though they're not listening to him. But he does get away, and we discover that the plan was Yavin 4, which is cool. I can't believe they actually did that because Tony Gilroy, well, yes, he knew Season 2 was going to connect more into Rogue One and all that, but was not big on doing no Easter eggs for the sake of Easter eggs. But it does kind of make sense that what would become the rebel base for Masasi Group and thus and later the bigger rebel alliance would initially probably get started as a place where rebels will rendezvous and meet up to exchange information, supplies, etc. That actually does make some sense. And then he goes flying away, leaving them to fight each other and the beasts on Yavin, and he gets in contact with Lucin's assistant, and he discovers that the plane that Bix, Brasso, B2, and I forget where I think are on is in a communication blackout. And before I talk about what happens next, we gotta talk about what's actually going on in the plant. So they're basically Bix, Brasso, Cassian when he's there, where they're all working as mechanics. They're technically there illegally, so they're illegal immigrants because they don't have a valid visa. But you know what? They're helping out and they're also laying low and all that. And it seems like some members of the community are aware of their status and are trying to help them hide. The one's definitely doing more than the other who may or may not have ratted them out to the Empire. I'm not quite sure. But doing all that, we've seen some nice community. B2 has made friends with other droids and all that. And they actually have a picture of Marvel and Andor right next to their communications. I thought that was just so great and nice callback, a reminder, if you will. And, well, eventually the Empire does come up for an inspection. That's kind of given away because I mentioned that the Empire has a communication blackout on that planet, and that's apparently standard procedure during these inspections, and all that, making sure visas in order, that quotas are being met, all that jazz. Well, one of the lieutenants, the lieutenant in charge of this, apparently his eye catches Bix and decides to flirt with her. She's not happy about it. I don't know if she and Cassian are married or not, but she's definitely at least saying that to try to get that imp off her back. Yeah, it doesn't work because later on when they actually arrive for their formal inspection, he goes to where Bix is living alone and tries to R-word her, rape her. Yes. Tony Gilroy went that far, and I think the scene was well done, but it was very hard to watch. And but but this is probably and Tony Gilroy actually had it called out for what it is in the episode using the word, which I'm just so impressed and I applaud him for that because that does take some guts. Because if you know the internet, the fact that I actually said the word in this review means this video probably will not be monetized, which is sad. But that's the way the internet goes at times. But I gotta give Bix this. She defended herself and did not give that imperial scum, that fascist scum, an inch. She did not. She defended herself and took him out. And then she also took out the driver too. Will tried his best too, but she got better aim. And then that's when Cassian arrives. He uses the tiny stone to eliminate the Imperial Zero, but unfortunately not before Brasso is shot. He was hoping that Brasso might be able to get Nurse back to help, because he definitely seemed to have gotten close to one of the members on that plant, and seems like they might have been kindling a relations. So there's that. So maybe, but no, probably not. This is Star Wars Andor, not Star Wars Happy Fun Time Place where everything goes right. That's not that show. I would like it to be. I want everything to have a happy ending, but we gotta be realistic about the time frame and everything that happens. Andor eventually dies as well, so spoilers, I guess. But anyhow, all of that. And then they evacuate the plane, leaving B2 behind. Why did you leave B2 behind? But B2 is in the kill of that character, I forget her name, but that Brasso was close with. So, at the very least, B2 is safe, and hopefully B2 will come back around. Please, Cassian and B2 need at least one scene together before the show ends, please. And that covers those two plots, but we still got the plot going on with, well, actually, we're going to wait on months. We're talking about what's going on with Sierra and Dedra, because that's not something I was expecting. First of all, Dedra's being let in on part of Project Stardust because they need a specific mineral that you can mine, that the Empire can mine on Gorman, but they need to basically make the Gormans look bad so they can justify mining, relocation, and all that. Apparently, they consider everything from fake natural disasters to fake, plagues and all that to try to get volunteer, blah, blah, blah. But Dedra's basically like, well, you can do propaganda to make them look bad as you want, but you need some, actual Gorman insurgents that you can control who can make bad decisions and do things at the wrong time, wrong place to make them look even worse. Controlled opposition. That's what Dedra is suggesting, and she's not happy with that because she still wants to track down Access, who we know is Lutheran. And apparently, Dedra and Cyril are living together now. Okay. I feel sorry for both of them because I think Dedra is just using Cyril to track down Access, and Cyril, well, I think he's more attracted to Dedra for her power than anything actually about her character. So yeah, I don't know how that's going to be healthy or not, but apparently that's going on. But apparently one good thing is, seems like Dedra put Cyril's mother in her place, called her out for basically emotionally abusing her son. So there is something there. I don't understand it, but another thing too, seems like things are going good for Cyril in his work, because apparently he's been promoted, and just like he was introduced to the Bureau of Standards, he's now introducing somebody else, and he's actually giving the Bureau of Standards some more credit, because he claims that he cracked down a fraudulent, ring of corrupt supply officers or something like that. But there's not too much going on there. We're going to have to wait to see. But Gorman's definitely going to come up, and things are going to go crazy. But speaking of Gorman, apparently one of the guests at Mon Monster's wedding, Lucian was talking to, who was half Gorman, half Chinjuran, so who knows how that's going to now work into things. And Lucian, yeah, he ended up attending the wedding for Mon Monster's daughter. It's crazy. Apparently he's a friend of the groom's father and has a wedding gift, which is a rare piece of artwork that was stolen tens of millennia ago by the Rakata. Nice call out to the Rakata, but it's just kind of insane there. And also Lucian, he's being his old spy self, he's getting information from the guests, and he's picking up that Mon Monsters might have had financial difficulties and went to take Coma and all that to get things sorted out, but things are not going too well because apparently something's going on with Tacoma. So what does Lucen do? Well, he contacts Cinta, who replaces Tacoma's driver, and I don't think Tacoma's going to be walking out of that speedo alive. Correction, he's not going to be walking out of it. When he's leaving it, he's going to be limp, if you know what I mean. And that's actually when Cinta and Vel actually see each other. The only time they haven't seen each other in apparently a while. Given their line of work, that does kind of make sense. But Vel, she knows what Cinta is doing though, and probably why. Yeah, so things are not going too well on Chandrilla. Mon Mothma also tries to give her daughter an out of the wedding, and her daughter rejects it in the form of rebellion. But I wonder if Mon Mothma did that on purpose, knowing her daughter was going to rebel and then actually do it. I do wonder. But hey, I gotta give Perrin this. He gave a Father of the Bride speech, and he actually gives some pretty solid advice that there will be fights, there will be troubles. It's about working through them and finding what works and what you guys actually like. He actually made some good points in that. So yeah, lots of going on there. I still can't believe just how all that, lined up, and that the Mon Mothma part line is somewhat connected with the Cassian Andor line. That's only because Lucen's assistant returns to Coruscant, so that way she had access to her main communication stuff, so she can actually talk to people, because she can't do that on Chandrilla. Is that everything? Because I'm sure it's not, but hey, it's what I got for you, and I would love to hear so much more in the comments. There's some very interesting stuff, some great stuff. I mentioned how the Imperial officer tried to all-word Bix. Well, there's this moment where he looks at himself in the mirror, which is a callback way back in the first episode where Bix is woken up with a nightmare. Specifically, it's like the phantom of the Imperial scientist that tortured her in season 1, who the phantom also stops and looks at the mirror before approaching Bix. Very much Tony Gilroy has recontextualized that moment from episode 1 to become a parallel to what happens to Bix later on with Imperial Officer, but this time she's able to resist. She has the tools at her disposal, and she's able to resist and give the Imperial scum what for. Something that she was not able to given the situation way back in season 1. It's tragic, mind you, but it's so good from a filmmaking and storytelling perspective. These episodes did not shy away from anything. Things that were left unstated were left that way on purpose, I'm sure. They, hits harder, like, oh yeah, we know what's going on, and all that. But also what was stated, like, Tony Gilroy did not have to have the characters outright say the R word, but he chose to. Chose to frame it as what it is, a violation, a act of Imperial aggression. Imperial might be actually the right term, because Imperials, in real life, Imperialists, yeah, they take what they want without consideration of everyone else. Isn't that so fitting? It's like this poetry. It rhymes or something. But anyhow, now that I got that George Lucas quote out of the way, let me know your thoughts on these 3 episodes in the comment section down below, and I hope to see you guys in the very next video. Thank you for watching my video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give this video a like and share. Also, consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date on all my latest content. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the Force be with you, always.